What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So I got a little problem here. My Blue Yeti microphone. It had power, and then it didn't. I figured maybe, I looked at the cable, figured maybe I needed a new cable. Tried that, nothing. Did a little digging on the interwebs, and I see that there's a lot of people out there that have the same problem with this mic. Is the USB inside here goes bad. So I'm going to attempt to fix it, because another mic setup is like 180 to 200 bucks. And I already had a bunch of soldering equipment, because I do repair my own Milwaukee work batteries. I solder new, lithium-ion batteries into them. So I kind of already had that stuff, and I only had to spend $11 is what I spent. $11 in hopes of fixing this mic. So I got some of this soldering wick. It's like a copper braided stuff that you can cut and heat it up, and the solder will just kind of suck into it like a sponge. And then I got a variety pack of different, USBs. I just wanted to make sure I got the right one, because there's different styles. Some have pins going down, some have pins going backwards, so you really have to, you gotta look at which one you have. So yeah, that was only 11 bucks, so I'm hoping that we can fix this. So from doing batteries, I have this solder, which is really thick, not really great for some electronics. But this has a really low melting point, and I thought all electronic solder was the same, so I got a roll of this Mutter stuff. Yeah, this has a way, way, way higher melting point than this stuff does. So this stuff's a lot easier to use, but it's too thick, so yeah, I bought this a while ago in anticipation of soldering more battery packs. But this is a very, very fine, thin solder that has a low melting point. I think it was like 415 degrees or something like that. Much lower than the other solders. So obviously I just have my Heiko soldering gun here. Thing was like $100 on Amazon. It's a great little soldering gun. Little solder sucker. I've got the squid, the octopus. Give us a couple extra fingers. Maybe it will be useful, maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just poke me in the eye, I don't know. So I had to figure out how to get this thing apart. First off, there's a little rubber piece that goes in the, this is basically for a pipe, so you can thread a pipe into this. So there's a little rubber thing in there, and you gotta dig it out with tweezers, and there's a screw in there. And then there's a sticker that goes over this, that's covering these other two screws. So I just peeled that sticker off and flung it. I'm not gonna try to stick it back on, I really don't care. Yeah, and there was two other screws below that. Tried to remove it, still wouldn't come out. So I figured these knobs had to come off. And basically, if you have a kitchen stove, gas or electric, it's usually about the same. It's the same kind of thing, right? The kitchen knobs on the stove fall off. It's the same style. It's just a plastic shaft. And it just kind of just goes in there. So I grabbed a pair of channel locks and carefully grabbed onto those and popped them out. Carefully, trying not to mar them up. And then this guy slides right off. Now we're down to the meat and potatoes. Oof. So a lot of other people I saw that it kind of lifted and broke up. Mine did not. It's still soldered in there pretty good. But basically you can see Yeah, there's like 4 bigger soldered things on the outside corners. I think that's what holds it in place and possibly grounds it. And then you have all the power and data, I guess. Little tiny little... God, those are going to be tough. Really going to be tough to solder those. Because, yeah, if we put too much and it pulls up onto one of the other things, yeah, we're done. So, let's give this a go, shall we? So, first off, that was a really good idea to just get a complete mixture. Because, God, how the heck are you supposed to know? So basically, I think this is considered mini USB. It's the original mini USB. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was the first of the minis. So this isn't different like USB-C. These are all USB minis, but they're different pin configurations. Like, let's see if I can. It's meant for like many different. Yeah, so the fronts. If we look at the fronts, they're exactly the same. But then we flip them around and look at the back. You see how different they are? So it's like, and there's a bunch of them there. So there's a lot of different types, different configurations. But I think this is the guy we need right here. So it's got like 4 little legs. See if I can get the camera to do its job. Yeah, it's got 4 little legs on the outside. And then it's got staggered pins facing down. I believe this is the guy we need right here. So we will keep that for later, I guess. I'm going to start with some of this soldering wick. Soldering gun is all heated up to 800 degrees. We're going to try to sop this stuff up carefully. I don't know if I'm going to have to change solder tips. So yes, before you say it, I know Mr. Electronics expert out there watching this video, completely mortified. I get it. You don't need to let me know that I'm a hack. That's fine. You know, I have a lot of tools and I can do a lot of things. Electronics, my tools are not on point. I have enough and know enough to be dangerous, that's it. This was not fun digging out. I don't know if it's my soldering iron doesn't get hot enough. I mean, it goes to 800 degrees. If I didn't have the right tip on, I don't know. I used this tip. It's your standard soldering tip. Not a chisel tip, just a point. And then I use this really sharp, like, needle point for the small ones. But I used this big one for the big 4 corners. And it worked pretty good. But then, basically I had to pry from the front. So there's 2 big pins in the front. I popped one of those loose at a time because most of the pins are in the back. So I figured if I could pop the front up, that would be half the battle. And then I had to reach inside. There's this black plastic thing that's inside. I reached in there and broke it off with a pair of just tweezers. That little black plastic thing is like a cradle. It just cradles the little pins. So I snapped that off, just got it out of the way. I don't know if that was necessary or not. I just did it. And then basically I did the back 2 legs, one at a time, pop one loose, pop the other loose, and then I was able to get the whole body off. But I had a bunch of little pins sticking out of the circuit board. So then I went pin by pin and pulled them out. And then with my my octopus arms here, I sort of heated up one side with the soldering iron, melted the solder, put my solder sucker against it on the other side. Once it was melted, I tried sucking it like when it was flush on the board, but it's like you're trapping the air from getting a good draft, and it wasn't working. But then I figured out if I put the solder sucker on there, melt the solder, and then just cock it down or up, just ever so slightly, not very much, just cock it a little bit like that. You know, I'm exaggerating, right? Like you want to cock it like that, but just a tiny bit, and it gave you enough airflow to get it out. Yeah, you can hear it all jingling in there. So now, if we take a quick look-see at this board, we can see through. Yes, we can. We can see through every single hole. I can see the color of my skin through it. So then I took a Q-tip with some 99% isopropyl and really wiped it down and got all of the resin flux off, dried it. And now we're going to pop in our new USB. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It snapped right in there, bro. No fight. Alright, so I got it clipped in place here. And I got this other gator clip just kind of propped under it. Just kind of supporting it. And we're going to attempt now to solder the big 4 corners and lock her in place. Carefuling. Carefuling. I might actually need the bigger roll of solder for this. I don't know. Why does this take so long? I think it's technique as well. Come on. Let's try a different solder. This stuff, I know this stuff melts incredibly easy. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what it is. I gotta find whatever this solder is. It's just so big. Maybe a little bit more. There it is. Boom. Boom. So I apologize, guys, but I can't can't really like zoom in anymore. My camera just doesn't swing that way. But I tried putting the needle tip back on and trying to solder these little ones, and I couldn't get either of these solders to melt. So I put the slightly bigger tip back on. I'm going to start with this little fine solder and see if I can get it to melt. And if not, then we'll switch back to the other one, which I think is too much. Carefuling. Carefuling. God, it's so small, dude. Ooh. Did we start to get it? Ooh, I think we got it. I think we got it. It's all in the tip. It's all in the tip. Bingo. I think this one could use a little more. There it is. Ooh, bingo! Yeah, this solder's working good now. It's all in the tip. Boom! I think that's it. We've got decent coverage. Nothing's bleeding over onto another thing. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we done did it, guys. Alright, so I'm going to isopropyl clean this up, put it back together. Actually, you know what? We're going to test it out before we put it back together. So I think it's definitely important to, use some isopropyl and clean off all of that rosin flux, because it will that flux is corrosive and it will deteriorate. I know it does with plumbing joints, so if you leave flux on a copper pipe, it will just chew through it over time. So I got it all cleaned up. Yeah, there's my handiwork right there. Can't even tell I touched it. Besides one little burn mark. One little burn mark. But generally speaking, it looks pretty flush. It's not crooked. It's looking good. Alright, let's plug it in. So, before I was plugging it in, and I was getting no red light. If there's no red light, you have no power. Here goes nothing. You ready? Oh! Look at that! We've got power. Alright, let's put it back together and test it out, shall we? Look at this. It's all back together. So I made sure to leave extra rabbit ears at the top here. Extra slack on the wire. Kind of moved it around, made sure it wasn't going to move. But yeah, that wasn't bad. I was a little nervous about those little tiny pins. But it's the same as soldering a copper pipe. Wherever you put the heat, that's where the solder's going to go. The solder's not going to go to wherever it's not hot. So wherever you put the heat, it's like a sponge. And it's done. It's not too bad. I feel like if I can do it, most people can do it. With the right tools. But, I mean, this mic, I feel like this mic sounds a lot better than the other one I was using. The other one I was using was a Rode, R-H-O-D-E shotgun mic. It looks like a big pickle. Just looking at you in the face. I feel like the Rode is louder, but it's further away. This one's closer. It's a little bit softer, but more bassy. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I don't know. I just think this is a decent mic for 180, 200 bucks. It's very, very popular. But there's an issue with the power cord, obviously, from getting kind of jerked around. So, but now we know how to fix it. And I know I'll probably get bashed from some electronics guy, you know, like, what are you doing, you stupid hacker? Well, I fixed it, didn't I? It's working. And I saved myself $170. I spent $11 in materials, which I didn't even need the wick stuff, so it would have been even less than that. It probably would have been about $7. $7. And probably would have taken me about 35, 40 minutes tops if I wasn't making a YouTube video. Because I was sharing with you guys, it took about an hour and 45 to 2 hours. So make sure you thumbs it up, subscribe if you haven't already. But I mean, if you think about it, if you have one of these mics and it's broken and you don't have the tools, now you have the knowledge, you know how to fix it, you know what tools you need to fix it. If you go and buy the tools necessary to fix it, it's still going to cost you less. The soldering gun, $100. The little octopus arms, $10. A roll of solder, $7. You know what I mean? And then all the other miscellaneous stuff, it's not going to add up to the same price you paid for the mic. So if you can get the materials that you need and tools to fix the mic, and you end up fixing it, well, now you fixed your mic, and you have a bunch of new tools that you never had before that you can use to fix other things down the line. Versus just going, I'm just going to throw it out and get a new one. No, man. Look. It's like brand new. But yeah, anyways, guys. Just feel like sharing. If you got a Blue Yeti microphone and you're not getting power, it's not turning on, I would try the cable first, and if it's not the cable, then you know what to do. See you later.